fight, there's a very good chance that Immortals might just snowball through first and second point.
Well, that's always a symmetric gamble, right? Is that even though she can be very good on Dorado, and breaking a symmetric defense on Dorado once she's established can be very difficult, you are sacrificing a bit of early punching power because she's not as raw effective as, say, putting a Zen there or something until her ultimate is in play.
Not as much as you used to, though, because I think the shield really helps a lot, especially if you're still going to be running a Reinhardt. It helps alleviate some of the shield pressure that he'll have on himself. I think that's one of the most underrated parts of her kit. You also get your turrets up faster, and her beam now much more effective. So she used to be a much bigger liability just as far as pure damage output than she is now.
Taking a look here, we're not seeing anything hyper-aggressive coming out of FaZe. They're going much more old-school Dorado defense, holding back in the courtyard, not going rogue style and trying to get in an opponent's face. Meanwhile, seeing pretty standard stuff coming out from Immortals as well. Nothing crazy divey here, just both teams going to play this in a raw, grind the other team down type of way, but still a lot of pressure on Immortals to win this first fight.
Well, 4 tanks, and what the D.Va's really nice at is rotating up top quickly. We've seen teams get caught on those stairs and slaughtered before as Hype's able to get in and get out. 4 tanks against 4 tanks. What year is this, ZP?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's a year where Immortals is just getting wrecked on their first push here. They run into Factor Fiction right away. It's a very good counter dive coming in from the side of FaZe, and I'll note that Immortals doesn't give up easily. They're still in here fishing for pickoffs, but this is dangerous because there's still a possibility FaZe could just counter dive in. And what's more dangerous is looking Forsaken.
And that's exactly what I was going to note. The most dangerous thing is that they're going to eat an orb, and they can't afford to do it. They need to win this next fight. Forsaken might even just go back and let his passive charge up. That's very low at 93 for him to do it, but by the time he gets in position, and maybe some of these sentries are going to give it to him. Yeah, he's going to get a nice position on this teleporter. They're never going to find it.
Yep, teleporter's up, and that's going to be rough for them to get on, but we'll see if it's even needed, as Mikey able to get on Jildies very early on here. 2 unanswered kills. Remember, this is effectively a 5 versus 6 because Symmetra wasn't in that to begin with. Doesn't matter when your Roadhog is able to get a very important early pickoff.
But look what that allows Symmetra to do, knowing I earned it, I put down my teleporter, it's time for me to WM1 into this team because if I die, I can generally get back into it. And she does a lot of damage on the chase. You can see her chain kills like that.
This is rough here for Immortals. We've seen Immortals have some degree of trouble initiating. And don't forget, this is supposed to be Immortals map. This is where they usually have good plans, but the courtyard clearly stymieing them right now. They have under 2 minutes left to find an answer.
2 minutes, they do get Shadowburn as Shadowburn ends up taking himself out there. The grab did go off, I believe, and not a whole lot out of it, so already a little bit behind in this fight. Immortals' best chance, a nice Earth Shatter from Fact, though.
While the Earth Shatter going to be partially mitigated by the Sound Bear, not able to take down Nomi immediately. Ithan now coming in off the flank as Ana keeps his team up, even getting a kill on the Raucous. So this is not bad here for the side Immortals, just trying to get strong control of this fight. Zombs trying to bring this back with Attack Visor, but just eats Agility's scrap gun instead. And this is just snowballing heavily in Immortals' favor. Teleporter or no teleporter, it's just feeding more lamps to the slaughter right now, Hex.
I feel that you have to treat teleporters sometimes in this instance like it is a resurrection, that once one person goes down, you start getting very aggressive. But despite that, they're pulling it back based on the back of Shadowburn. A couple of kills, 3 kills in this fight for Shadowburn.
It was Shadowburn coming in towards the last moment. That was looking all momentum in favor of Immortals, and yet
Inches away.
They just about had it, and Shadowburn off the teleporter, gets quick charge, and didn't even have Graviton up at the time, just landed very solid poking damage to get down Immortals down. Now Immortals, this is desperation. They're just going into, all right, we're just going to go to create Grim Reality and hope for the best. We'll see if this works out because they're 30 seconds away from very likely losing Dorado.
Shadowburn can lock out this defense right now if he can just find a way, but he has to be careful because Hyped on that D.Va, so having to be worried about the future Korean vacuum. They do need to get this grab in going, though. Not a whole lot. Nomi's going to have Earthshatter. Grab does come down. Not quite the follow-up just yet, but Verbo and Nomi down. Nomi being down really hurts them. He had Earthshatter he could have brought back.
Grim Reality effectively just got 2 kills there. A big headshot on Shadowburn, followed up onto Tracer, finds Raucous. Grim, 3 kills to bring Immortals back, 4 kills. Grim Reality, a 1-man wrecking crew. Lucio, the only one left here, the stall. And that's always rough. Lucio versus McCree. McCree gonna win that fight. And suddenly Immortals, life in them yet.
Just Grim. I said earlier I have no idea what to even say about Grim anymore. They are going to come back here and fight this out, and why wouldn't Shadowburn think he could, as he did it earlier? They are at least going to force some ults out of it. They do force out the nano boost, but it seems to be all over except for a little bit of stall. That teleporter is not up, so these are all walk back stall-out time. They're hoping for a miracle here, but Grim has been too good. The space too much for that team to deal with and close. Zom still alive somehow on this card. He does get a pulse bomb off. No kills off it.
There's still stall coming in here, but Immortals is far more significantly established. They're going to get to the point. 2.5 minutes left. And what heroics by Grim to bring that back. I mean, he got 3 very pivotal kills to set up that snowball just to begin with. And now, 4 ultimates up here for Immortals, Hex. They could fly through second if they play their cards right. And let's just take a look at this more in depth. This is how they like setting up here over the top. Look at them crouching. Sneaky, sneaky. Just waiting. Now, I'm not sure they realize they're getting flanked here. Oh, no! Not like this. Agilities, why? Oh, that's unfortunate. We'll see if they can bring this back. It's not fight losing, but it's hardly the way you want to start out.
Well, you out-sneak the sneakers as they come around over the side, but only the 1 kill. What I would mention, though, is all that stall-out that FaZe clan was attempting to do ended up feeding a lot. There's 4 ults up. Here comes one of them from Grim as they had knocked down the tank. Forsaken going to go down very early as the sound barrier is up for the offense to push. Not a ton of value off the sound barrier, but at some point, someone's got to dive Grim. You can't let him sit back here like this.
He just has all the space in the world. No one is on him at all right now. Flanking around this right side now. He could run afoul of a hook here, but he's really just applying pressure Shadowburn now. That's a tough fight for McCree. You don't want to take it straight up. You want to fight the Zarya when she's distracted. Fire strike out of nowhere. Goodbye, Grim Reality. And yet Immortals still have plenty of pressure at this point. Nomi gonna drop the hammer. Knocks down one. Powered up. Rock'em Sock'em robots here between with Reinhardt. No, Nomi just gonna take a snooze.
Well, I think Grim just punished by his own hubris there, too. We mentioned all the space he had, and the moment we started mentioning the space he had, he just started walking in on tanks for no great reason, found himself triangulated between a few, but the only person who's able to beat Grim so far has been Grim himself. He will stay on that, but now FaZe has in a good position to be able to reestablish their defense. They've got ultimates up. They're finally established and set up on the high ground where you want, both left side and right side.
Under a minute left to go here, Immortals trying to find a way to bring this through here on Dorado. Wouldn't be the end of the world if they didn't complete this attack. They'd have a little bit of wiggle room, but they have to feel far better if this works. But they're going into a blender here, Hex. So many ultimates are up here on the defense, but let's take a look at how this fight takes place. Hyped, self-destruct up and at the ready. And he's gonna have to land a big one here, Hex, to really open this up and give them a chance with all the firepower they're up against. And no, instead Hyped gets hooked in, has to panic self-destruct. Will it hit anything? It does! Forsaken goes down, not able to do anything in this fight. And this is not a fight FaZe should have lost, but Hex, it's happening.
He was using it just as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Having been hooked, only 44 health, you want to eject and then maybe get some Bunny Blaster kills and get back into your mech, but wow, he gets the free kill on Forsaken.
I don't understand why FaZe is so greedy with their ultimates there. They had Sound Barrier. Just blow that early on in the fight and overpower the other team. If you're keeping track of ultimates, they had to know that they weren't coming in with a whole lot of power, and Immortals getting away with one. Self-destruct, all they needed. And now they're piling on the momentum. Shadowburn falling early on as Grim Reality moves in.
We've seen that FaZe can struggle to reestablish themselves here as they just roll out one by one. They need to just sit back and spawn, give up some ground. Dorado, too many teams get punished by not giving up the appropriate amount of ground. You still have a chance to hold this. Only 50 seconds left. You just can't be feeding out there. Mike goes down very early.
Mikey already out of this fight. No one even looking at Grim. And I gotta tell you, Hex, it's high noon because here comes the Deadeye up and on the way. Gets decent damage on the Shadowburn. Shadowburn not going to live through it in the end. And Zoms, he had to blow the tag visor way in the back. Got Verbo, not a lot else. And Grim now flanking on the side. Bad news bears here for Raucus. He's going to go down immediately. However, the counter dive working out. Zoms and Mikey able to get in the agility, so not the worst here for FaZe.
As good as Grim has been, the 2 times he has kind of cost his team a fight as he's gotten greedy on it right there. If he sits back there up top with his team and just tries to keep them off to the right side, and as they're doing damage over top, it might work out different for them.
There's a nice earth share coming from Factor Fiction. He does get slept right away, but that's not going to mitigate much of anything. As we see FaZe holding on here on third, but I gotta say, it should have been a hold on second. I'm gonna throw this to you, Slasher, because you were watching that. Should FaZe have lost that fight where they were holding on to that many ultimates? Or
no, FaZe, what are you doing? 5 ults. You have 5 ults at the end of the point. You can win the game and make sure they don't even get the second point. You don't use any of them? You don't use any of them, and then Immortals gets 3 kills and pushes the point without using 1 ult? I don't understand FaZe's execution or team fighting at the end of that fight. Just not good at all. But really, the good news for FaZe is that Immortals didn't play any better. Immortals plays quad tank into Symmetra, into triple tank, from FaZe. Why don't you put Grim Reality on McCree or put Agilities or Grim Reality on Genji to start off the game? So even though FaZe messed up on second point, Immortals offense was not the right call considering what FaZe is running, especially because they had Symmetra, and Symmetra is pretty good against quad tank. On top of that, Mikey A had a really good game, a lot of picks the first and second point with Roadhog, and Shadowburn with a lot of big grabs and kills in that game. So FaZe put themselves in the best position to take the series.
And just that point, too, beyond the fact that FaZe really should have won that last fight on second, I feel like you make the argument they should have won the last fight on first, where they didn't really put much attention on Grim Reality there. I think they did have a little bit of an ult advantage going into that as well, and they effectively, I think they got more early picks, but they let Grim bring that back on them, and I mean, it's great play from Grim. It's a good story, but I feel like you can really make the argument that FaZe should win that last fight on first most of the time as well.
The only person who could have stopped Grim was Grim himself. The only two times that I think, and I'm going to nitpick him a little bit because of how well he played, but the times he got away from playing with his team and getting rid of the people who were defending him, he tried to roll in on tanks, and that cost him his life. And towards the end, he got in the pick on Ruckus, but had he been over top still with his team, it's going to be difficult for FaZe to push out into that. And you saw when he was trying to freelance on that right side is when his team started dying. He wasn't the pressure he needed to be. So I think he was playing great, and he felt like he was just a world beater, but there are times where you still have to stick with your team, especially as McCree.
Well, take a look at this defense here. Verbo, of course, is on Symmetra, and his turret's got him a whole lot of charge here, Hex. He's already at 50% between turrets and orbs, so FaZe not really paying much attention to the Symmetra here, and this could already hurt them badly if this first fight doesn't go great for them. Note, Forsaken Rockets almost dying from poke. They were very close to death there, able to get back in, recharge, so both teams back at full strength, but Verbo already at 70%. This is crazy.
It's something I've noticed particularly with FaZe in some teams. They need to figure out how to deal with early turrets, as Verbo already up at 98%, and he's done very little aside from setup turrets during the setup time. FaZe in particular does not roll out correctly in how to deal with them before they can get damage done. He's already going to have it. Might even just drop a shield barrier depending on how the fight goes while he's gone. He's going to hold, being greedy.
Yeah. Grim able to get on Zoms early on. Verbo still holding on to his teleporter, not using it yet. And this is one of those things where it's a little greedy because he could just drop it down there and be aggressive to the front. Maybe he is worried about, say, Mikey on the Ferret coming around the flank and finding it. But for now, FaZe definitely not coming in particularly well. And no, speaking of the flank, Mikey considering for a moment if he wanted to come in over the top.
Well, as they do come in over the top, Mikey coming in, he's going to have Barrage ready, maybe trying to get in here just a little bit. As Shadowburn takes a nice kill onto Agilities early, they're going to have to completely wipe this fight, but Verbo still hasn't dropped anything down yet.
Verbo really holding it to the end. Hype though, Graviton Surge up and on the way, gonna pull in 3. Nomi's right there, swinging the hammer. The follow through is intense. So much damage coming in from those Reinhardt swings, and that's gonna be 4 unanswered kills after the Graviton. And Verbo, he has dropped that teleporter right down.
Finally, I was getting very, very nervous for him, and he's going to set up these sentry turrets, which have been very difficult for FaZe to deal with. I cannot overemphasize enough how it's not the first time I've seen FaZe roll out of a spawn and give that much charge away. They need to have a better plan for it. Just a very small thing you have to practice to not give, essentially, a free teleporter.
Well, Factor Fiction here does have Earthshatter up and at the ready. A lot of good offensive ultimates up here for the side of FaZe, but the thing is, Hex, they have to be decisive. They can't just kill Immortals now in drips and drabs. They need to kill them in one fell swoop, or the teleporter is going to let them reinforce pretty effortlessly. So they're moving in. We see the nano boost on the Factor Fiction. What an Earthshatter! Gonna knock down 2. Manages to pierce right through. Mikey in over the top with a barrage. 2 members of Immortals already down. Now the question is, will they find the teleporter in time before reinforcements come back in? Grim Reality's still back here. Doesn't want to give his life away. We see them coming out of the teleport to the side, and it's a pretty far teleport, so he has to go into a point to stall. I don't know if they're going to get back here in time.
Doesn't look like it. Raucus is able to take down Grim very early there. A sound barrier should keep them all nice and healthy as this fight continues. Nomi not getting very much despite being boosted with his hammer. He does try to get a fire strike going down. He's doing a good job of at the very least contesting. Meanwhile, Shadowburn with a couple kills. Burbo goes down as well. They're going to try the same kind of stall out tactic, but not working for Immortals, just like it didn't work for FaZe.
See, Grim actually tried to get onto a late Pharah just to be a little bit sneaky coming over the top. Don't think he's going to stay on it despite getting 44% ult. And I gotta say, I'm not entirely sure I'm sold on the teleport position. The teleporter was so far back that they couldn't get back on the point effectively. Grim had to sacrifice his life just to stall. It wasn't great.
Yeah, despite getting teleporters done for both teams, I think FaZe definitely used it a little bit better, even though their stall came out there. I do think teams need to start treating it more like a resurrection. Wait for people to come in there. When someone dies, sack, get a little aggressive, and then everyone come through and just use it as a full reset rather than the trickling reset we've seen it. And Earthshatter goes down on the point as Grim Reality up top getting unharassed damage from the high ground.
Grim still coming in for a little bit of cleanup. Nothing Shalbert can do here. He just gets taken out. Not able to make that turn into the alleyway just in time. So, taking a look here, Hex, going into this. 2 minutes left here from FaZe. What does FaZe need to do to get through here on second now that we have Immortals fully set up once more?
Well, I think your camera is on them. They have to pressure Grim Reality up top, and I know that's sounding like a broken record, but it's because it's absolutely true. They need to figure out some way to get high ground, otherwise they're just going to get dropped on. I think Mikey is supposed to be the answer for that, at least pressuring them out. Maybe a concussion blast can move them off this high ground too, and then clean up the remnants, but it's going to be coming up over the top rope. Hype drops Graviton.
Hype drops the Graviton, pulls 2 in. There's not the immediate fall through there you might like, and in fact, FaZe starting to pull it over. Mikey in the air, creating a big distraction in over the top. Doesn't quite knock off Grim, but FaZe with a big numbers advantage here, and this is where Immortals has to play this carefully. Actually, they need to back out for that one last defensive attempt here on second.
They absolutely have to group up here, otherwise Mikey's going to pick them apart as they come through the door. The lucky thing is they have their Reinhardt already up there, so they're not going to eat all that. But Grim almost takes down Mikey very early as he rotated over the sides. Zom's caught up, coming over the stairs as Ethan sleeps, and will they have the follow-up? They might just leave him sleeping back there.
That was a huge play by Ethan. Gets Zoms out of the fight, and that's the signal to go for the rest of the Immortals. They just dive right in with Grim. They know that they don't have to worry about the flank coming in. That sleep dart, so incredibly crucial to winning this fight, and Zoms, he's just left out of it because he picked an impromptu time for a nap.
Tough nap for Zoms as he has to go all the way back here. Wow, so low on health, he doesn't want to get staggered anymore. Forsaken has already died as well. Last push incoming. They have a barrage. They'd be very happy if they had a sound barrier right now too to go with this barrage and keep them alive. Forsaken getting there at 91%. They might try to stall out this map enough so that they can push in with sound barrier.
Well, I gotta say, I think the key play here, for better or for worse, is going to be Zoms with a Nano Boost. I think that is how they're going to run this. Though Nano Boosted Fair can be effective. Zoms coming up here for the back, is getting supported. Here comes the Attack Visor, here comes the Nano Boost. Gets on the Ethan immediately. No sleep time this time with that early pickoff. 2 unanswered kills, and it's nothing flashy, Hex, but it is effective as FaZe will be able to turn this into an attack on third.
They also had Mikey going way over the side flank too, just to pressure out anyone else who was going to be trying to contest that high ground. They will get second and get a little bit bump in time. 90 seconds, you see the yellow box of victory on the ground just below the archway. 1 or 2 more attempts for this FaZe Clan team. Mikey still has Barrage and they still have Earthshatter.
Actually, Mikey's he's considering swapping, perhaps? I'm not sure. It seems like there's a little bit of confusion there because he wasn't waiting for his team. He was just sitting there going, what do I do, guys? What do I do? They said, stay with the Barrage. So this is the horse that FaZe is going to ride, for better or for worse, as they try and get that rematch with Rogue in the upper bracket finals. Still, here we go. The initiation from Immortals coming right in, and Agility's going to get knocked right to the ground. Factor Fiction was ready for that Dragon Blade. He's removed immediately. Still, Factor Fiction gives us life for it. 5v5 over the top. And Grim Reality, Attack Visor, still in reserve.
Unfortunate there that they had to burn the Earthshatter there. I thought they were going to try to save it for a combination, but they did have their hand forced. Shadowburn is going to be close to his ultimate as well. Grim Reality going to try to rotate up top to get good positioning. I still think a lot of this is going to come down to the boost target, and it might end up being Mikey. Maybe that's why they had him stay on the Pharaoh, so they could boost a barrage up, but here it comes.
I think you're exactly right. Mikey coming in over the top. We'll see if that boost goes on him. He's going in. Look at this, sneaky. This could be game-winning if they don't see him here in time. He's coming in over the top, but Grim, the Attack Visor, the barrage is just delayed. It doesn't work out. Grim Reality has cleaved through the entirety of the FaZe team while that Pharaoh flank was being set up. The timing just wasn't there.
The setup took way too long to get into position, and the Visor comes down with its own boost, cleans it up. Too little, too late for Mikey over the top, and Immortals will take the set 2-1.
Finals.
Immortals maintaining their crown here in Dorado, but did not look invincible, Hex, to say the least.
No, they look beatable, and FaZe came out, just a couple of decisions here or there, most notably what you and Slasher analyzed last map of not using ultimates correctly. FaZe still looking okay, goes down to the lower bracket though, still in the tournament.
It's worth noting that if FaZe had won that fight where they had 5 ultimates that they should have won, this would have been a win.